Hi guys. So this audit is going to be a bit different. Today we are going to talk about Ondo. That is currently the king of premium non-show socks on Amazon. But I've seen this movie before, and if they're not careful, they could become the Irobot of socks. And let me explain. So this is actually a public audit using only publicly available data. I've been doing this for a long, long time. Just recently I've started hitting the record button as well, but spending more than 15,000 hours inside Amazon Seller Central and working with clients up to $50 million in annual revenue. I understand trends whenever they come. So first of all, credit where it's due. You're selling socks for $64, and so of course you're not just selling socks, right? You're actually selling engineering, and you're actually selling a brand, and that's the reason why you can charge $16 per pair. But this is where it actually gets a bit interesting. So Ondo, it's winning on price, it's winning on profit per click, but it's not winning on volume. And a budget brand like this, like this Vernese brand, that is a Chinese brand, it needs to sell 1,000 units to hit a certain profit target. But Ondo might only need to sell, you know, 150 or 200 units, right? But it's this review count is a bit concerning because the competitors have 50,000 to 80,000 reviews. They are 4.5. Ondo also has got 4.5 reviews, but those are only coming from 51. Now on Amazon, volume of reviews, it actually reduces your hesitation. And the more reviews you have, it's a known fact that your conversion rate actually it increases as well. So I'm thinking that right now, if it keeps on going like this, Ondo's conversion rate, it's definitely going to get pressured. And when conversion actually drops, your PPC gets expensive extremely fast. And that's why I'm already seeing Ondo style socks being copied by competitors who are selling it at an extremely cheap price. Let's dive into what Ondo can do right now. So normally, when I do public audits, I actually talk a lot about what listing can be improved, what keywords can be capitalized on. But when I have a look at these keywords actually, and I'll dive into it, first of all, I just see that Ondo socks are being searched extremely high. So people are actually searching Ondo socks a lot, and that means a lot because the brand already has got huge amounts of value. It's a US based brand. I think it's a New York based brand. It has got solid creative. So of course, if someone's selling one pair of sock for $16, they definitely will have solid creative, solid A plus content, right? So all of these things are extremely well done. When it comes to creativity, of course, these guys are doing extremely well. A few things that I will have a bit of problem with is number one, of course, if I have got like multiple variations, I would be targeting different sort of like bullet points or adding different keywords just to ensure that I'm getting indexed on more and more keywords, because this is their best selling listing, and these are the only keywords where Helium 10 is saying that they're ranking on. Of course there are more keywords as well, but even right now their revenue is a lot less than what it should have been. And but the problem is that since it's already a big brand, the number of reviews here, it matters a lot, and you actually need to capitalize a lot on reviews. Now when I talk about reviews, I do understand reviews. Reviews are based on your order volume and your order velocity, and your order velocity depends on a few things, but more importantly, on Amazon being a marketplace, it depends on price, it depends on those factors as well. And there are a few factors which they would not fall below to, so they would never price themselves as much as a Chinese competitor, right? But they can definitely do one very specific thing, and that is having a loss leader in their catalog as well. So if four pack of four is for 60 is pack of four is for $64, and the one sock is for $16, let's say, they can just have pack of one for 19.99 as well, and that could be a great entry point. And the reason for that is the more customers that you have, the more you, because you've got a pretty good catalog, you can target them multiple other colors. So if, for example, you've got a good number of new to brand customers coming in, you can straight away, number one, target them via sponsored display targeting, retargeting, and number second, via brand tailored promotion. This is the simplest that it can get. No hard science behind that. But your main goal should be to achieve as many reviews as possible. And when I was having a look at it, immediately recall iRobot's Rombo vacuum, right? Just movers in the market. They developed a whole technology. It was, I think, $1,000, something, $900, something like that. And then came in lots of competitors who were pricing it a lot lower, and then of course selling their product. Now, mind you, there's a huge difference between. I'm not at all comparing a socks brand with a utility brand, with an electronics brand, with a much higher price point. But having said that, I think in here they have to be even more cautious, because having a brand where people are actually searching your brand's name, and one of your keywords has got 2000 search volume, one of them has got 3000 search volume, so thousands of people searching your brand. And just on your brand there are multiple people, multiple other brands who are number one targeting your brand keywords, and number second they're pricing it at a much lower price point. Number third, they've got a much higher price velocity, so they've got a much higher market share. And in a way, I do not have a problem with that, with them having more market share, with Chinese competitors having more market share, because socks in itself, it's a commoditized product, right? It's not easy to penetrate, into majority of sock market, because they're addressing a very different kind of customer. But having said that, your another goal should be to expose your brand and place your brand in front of as many eyeballs as possible, just so you can increase your review count, you can increase your new to brand customers, and then of course you can cross sell them your other patterns as well. With apparel, I've seen one thing. So I've not worked a lot in apparel category, but I've worked a lot in jewelry category. And I think jewelry category and apparel category, they're much similar, because even at this price point, they're not just another apparel. They're sort of like a fashion accessory, right? Not even a fashion accessory. I know there's utility as well, but even then, there's utility in $9 as well. But why someone paying $64? And of course, yeah, these are four pair of socks. There's four pair of socks, and I honestly think that this brand has placed their product extremely strategically here. I honestly believe that the reason why Venice is selling pair of four, and then targeting it, on Ondo's keywords, selling it at this price point, and they're selling a pack of four and at a much lower cost. Someone can have a look at, all right, these are also no show socks for women, while this is also a no show sock. So in a way it looks much similar for someone who's not exposed to that brand yet. Now, of course, having said that, when I have a look at their website, I think it's a wonderful ad. They are featured on a lot of places. So of course there's some huge branding advantage that they have over any other competitor on Amazon and a normal e-commerce or only Amazon brand. But their main goal still should be to capitalize as much volume as possible. And this is, of course, if your brand is facing something like this, you should be targeting it as much as possible. So number one thing that I would want them to do is introduce a loss leader, use that. And right now, I think, the medium size is selling a lot based on Amazon's number of sales that come in here. So I try to rely on that a lot, especially when I'm publicly auditing a brand. But 200 plus as compared to what they're selling, the order velocity, there's a humongous difference. But definitely, I would suggest them to add multiple single pack variations. Use that as a loss leader, especially if it's a brand which is highly profitable. I would even urge them to increase their market share as much as possible into that premium segment, into that premium category. Constantly monitor with their brand analytics how much their new to brand customers are coming in and how much they can scale further. Then of course a few very small points, but those come very handy when it comes to SEO optimization as well, is if you have got like different variations. So these 3 into 1 2 3 4 5, there are 15 variations. I don't think all of them are in stock, but let's say 10 of them are in stock. You need to improve your bullet points, but not just improve your bullet points, you need to add in more and more keywords here, so that way you are getting indexed for more and more keywords, and that way you're getting placed in front of more and more eyeballs. And let's say if this is one of your main SKUs, I can still see someone else straight away doing a sponsored display targeting, then someone else. Of course, this is Ondo, so that is good. Another brand doing sponsored display targeting. And just to have a look, all of them have got extremely high reviews in them, even at 238. So 10,000, not something that we can compete, not something they can compete right now. But 200, definitely something that they can compete right now. Now, when it comes to sponsored, they've got different brands. I think Cloud is doing a tremendous job as well, because I actually went into Cloud's listing too. They're actually doing a pretty decent job. And in here, they're of course running a huge amount of ads. So they're also utilizing, Ondo's presence to, because they already know that I think maybe they're sort of like category leaders or category creators maybe, but they're utilizing that to push their own product, where the price is at a much similar price point. I'm not sure why. All right, so they already have got multiple listings which have a much better price point, of course. Yeah, let's say this one. So in here, number one, much better reviews, Number second, of now I cannot say that their creatives are worse than Ondo, because they're also doing a pretty decent job as well. But because of the pricing factor, because of the review factor, they're straight away going to capitalize on a much larger market base. And even right now, their top keywords that Helium 10 shows are, one of them is Ondo socks. So why is Ondo socks letting other competitors use their own keywords, right? And then of course there's Cloud socks as well, which is pretty high. But yeah, so I would straight away give two or three suggestions, and that is something which I will straight away do different in order to ensure my market cap is more. Number one, ensure that you introduce a category, you introduce an entry price point for your brand. Number second, keep a very close eye on your review count. And number third, see when your review count improves, how much does your conversion rate improves, and try to push yourself a bit more aggressively in a market which is trying to take away your market share by cutting down on prices. So you have to, fight with them in a very strategic manner. But yeah, I think that was it. If your brand is also facing something like this, feel free to show it to me, and I'd love to take a look. Thank you.